Welcome to this week's edition of Healing Conversations with Coach Vee. I am Coach Vee, certified life coach and personal growth expert with SVM Initiatives, LLC. As we know, this show is completely dedicated to life's challenges as well as with the steps that we take to heal from traumatic life events. I have a very special guest today, Miss Maria Cavallaro, co-owner of Indulge VSP Lounge. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Vee.
Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate it. As I mentioned, Maria is the co-owner of Indulge VSP Lounge, where the past workshop that we had was held there about healing conversations with Coach Vee, exploring domestic violence. So tell us, Maria, something about yourself, just to introduce yourself to the audience.
Well, I'm a Cincinnati native. I grew up in North College Hill.
Okay.
I am one of 4 children. I am the youngest and the only girl.
So you're the baby girl.
I'm a baby girl.
Okay.
And my parents, my dad is from Southern Italy.
Okay.
Was from Southern Italy. He has passed. And he emigrated about age 27.
Okay.
And my mom was born and raised in Cincinnati, but her father was also an Italian immigrant from roughly the same region. So, and actually that's how they met.
Okay.
The community in Cincinnati. There used to be a large Italian community.
I've read about that.
And well, I am a divorced single mother of one, a grown adult.
Okay.
I worked really hard to earn a bachelor's in secondary education, social studies, minor in history, a master's in school counseling.
Okay.
But throughout my life, I've done other things.
Right.
When I was young, I had a cosmetology license.
Okay.
And then life took a different path, and then I went back to school, and then moved back to the Cincinnati market, and there were no jobs in education, so some other things fell in my lap, and I started working for my now co-owner, who owns Ovations Entertainment Group.
Yes.
And so working with him, and then the opportunity to purchase Indulge VSP came up, and so we brought our entertainment company to Indulge. And I'm just a regular person, just striving to make it through the days. And
Understood. Well, I
So-
have a very important question.
All right.
Do you speak Italian?
Yes.
Fluently? Conversationally?
I understand more than I speak.
Yes.
Because my dad has been gone. Well, he passed in 2004.
Okay.
So, and then he was ill a year before that. So, and then some family had passed before that. When I was younger, it was easier.
Okay.
I understand more than I speak because I also get stage fright.
Oh.
So,
okay.
but I would survive, and everybody with me would survive. And
Well, good.
Yeah.
It's good to know. So I know who
Yeah.
to come to when my Italian's being tested. I know who to come to.
Right.
So, keeping in mind that the show is about healing conversations and all the accomplishments that you ran down as far as educationally, I like how you said you returned to the Cincinnati market. That's a true business statement when you call places market. Share with us, because we know your background now, and we know that you're the co-owner of Indulge, but share with us one moment in your life that may have been challenging to you, so that we can help the audience see what you did in order to heal. So let's just briefly touch on that.
Well, and I think there are seasons in your life when you experience different things.
True.
So this past October, October 5th, was 1 year with my mom's passing.
Okay.
And my mom, because I was the only girl and I was the baby, and she and I were very close, and I took care of her, especially the last year of her life. So right now I'm dealing with that.
Understood.
Grief is a monster.
It is. We actually shared a date kind of in common. This year, Thursday was October the 5th. Friday, October the 6th, marked 9 years and my mother passed. So now that I have that in mind, I'm going to make sure because I know how I can feel.
Yeah.
Check on you because we're a day apart.
Right.
Remembering our moms. So.
And I try to make light of everything. You know, just to.
You have a very fun personality. You do.
Thank you. and I'm kind of working backwards because you and I have had personal conversations. So when I speak of the fight or the challenges and being able to survive, it all plays into that. Because in 2004, my dad and my oldest brother passed away within 28 days of each other.
Wow. And
both were diagnosed with different forms of cancer in 2003. Pancreatic and kidney. My dad had pancreatic. And pancreatic is, and I hate to say this, a death sentence from diagnosis.
Absolutely.
Basically.
Absolutely.
So, and my mom she passed from cancer, so half my immediate family, cancer has taken. But with that said, so grief is a heavy monster burden. But I think what I'll say, as far as something challenging in life, like I made the mistake. I don't want to say mistake. I made a life decision at 19.
Okay, let's be clear.
Yeah, life decision at 19 that I should not have made.
Okay, now I'm curious.
I got married.
Oh, Lord.
I got married. So 19, and that works for some people.
Right.
Did not work for me. I didn't have the life skills to choose the proper partner.
And that's a very mature statement. Okay.
So, and with that said, so by the time our son was born a few years into the marriage, and I left a year later. So by 24, I had a 1-year-old. By myself.
Yes.
I had moved from Detroit back to Cincinnati.
Okay.
I had no education. Well, I did have my cosmetology license, but that's a whole different ballgame.
Okay.
So I had no real life skills. I had no education to do other things.
You had an extra mouth to feed too.
And I had an extra mouth to feed.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate to have supportive parents.
Okay.
And I will say that, but I was still 24. Where my friends, I always say I did life backwards.
Okay.
So where my friends were doing certain sets of stuff, going out, socializing, going to college the traditional way. Here I am at 24. So I worked for a few years, and I thought this is for the birds because I wasn't making, I had, menial jobs, and I really wasn't getting ahead. And I thought, well, what am I going to do? So it was either I would try to do something other than what I was doing, or I go back to school. And my parents were like, you can stay here. Because it was that time to transition. Either I leave their house again, or I do something else. And they said, well, as long as you're in school, you can stay here.
Okay.
So I commuted to Oxford a lot. Or I'm sorry, let me back up.
Okay.
I went to Miami University.
Okay.
And the reason why I went is because my high school, I always wanted to go, but my high school counselor told me I wasn't smart enough to get into Miami as a traditional student. So that kind of added into my life decisions.
Right.
I went.
Because that played upon you. Believed them.
Oh yeah.
You thought because they were the counselor, they know what they're talking about.
And I thought I was 19. I thought I was at 19. I thought I knew what I was doing. I had that plan in my head, recording plan in my head. Well, maybe I'm not good enough to go to college. We weren't wealthy, so I didn't want to burden my parents. I didn't know how I was going to work and go to school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all those things, because my 18-year-old head, my 19-year-old head, I didn't have that maturity.
Right.
And I didn't have that confidence.
Right.
So with that said, I found a way.
Okay.
So I worked at Miami's Hamilton campus
Mhm.
while I was taking classes.
Mm-hmm.
I was crafty at scheduling my son to do different things, different places.
Keep him busy.
Keep him busy.
Yep.
He went at one time when I was going from North College Hill to Oxford every day
Wow.
for classes. He was going to 2 different preschools.
Wow.
And I was blessed that he was a very social child because
Okay.
he loved it.
Mm-hmm.
He loved
Made
it.
friends easily, was comfortable. Yeah.
Oh, very
Didn't
much
miss
so.
mommy too much.
No, he was like, see ya. I'm
Right.
going here now.
Right.
But that, and that's been a while. So I graduated with my bachelor's at 31.
Okay.
So, and I'm nearing 50. So it's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, I amazed myself that I could do it. But I think for me, when I was pressed to figure out a way, I had to figure out a way.
Yeah.
Because when
Yeah.
I left my ex-husband,
Mhm.
he was not the nicest of man,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
my ex.
Mm-hmm.
I left with nothing
Mm-hmm.
except for everything I could fit in the car
And the baby.
and the baby. And the
Mhm.
baby was my most valued
Yes.
thing I could have.
Yes.
If I would have left with no clothes, no nothing, if I had him, I was fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we were divorcing, he was not very nice.
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't have my parents, I would have been homeless.
Okay.
And again, all those things kind of play in that recording.
Yes. You had a lot of recording going on.
Yeah.
Single mom, young, marriage that didn't work out.
Right.
You wanted to go to school, but you were basically taught you're not smart enough. You
Right.
were taught that. And
Right.
all those recordings took place. Now, is it safe to assume that mom and dad were helpful as far as caring for your son at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So you had some sort of support system.
Yes.
But you still had internally some things going on, some
Right.
recordings that we're going to keep calling them.
Right.
That
Well,
weren't so nice.
Well, and I will say one of the things my ex-husband said to me before I even got pregnant, when a couple was having a discussion like, when would you like to have kids?
Right.
I think when would you like to have? He told me that he didn't think I'd make a good mother.
Wow. To your face.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh, no problem for him.
Okay.
And again, my lack of life skills, my immaturity, my confidence. Back then the world was a little different.
Yeah.
There was no Oprah saying,
Right. Speaking
get
life
together.
into you.
Yeah,
Understood.
right. There was,
Understood.
and my parents were very strong people.
Mm-hmm.
And there was nothing that I couldn't do. They never told me, even in a traditional Italian household, my dad never told me I couldn't do something if I put my mind to it.
So you had some positive messages coming
Right.
in as well. It just seems like at once, though, there may have been more not so positive
Right.
than positive.
Because when
Yeah.
you leave that nest,
Yeah,
there's a whole big world and not everybody's your friend.
absolutely.
So, and and my son was one
Mhm.
when I left. And being a first-time parent
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and all those things that come with it. And my parents were very supportive with him, but they loved all their grandchildren.
Right.
It just so happened that I was in a different position. And my brothers were supportive too.
Mm-hmm.
They were just, they weren't always hands-on like my parents were. But
But they were there.
they were there.
present.
They were there.
What was the pivotal moment, whether it was an idea or something that happened in the physical that made you just pull up your big girl pants just enough to say, I got this? All these things around here aren't in my favor, but I need to
Right.
get this done, whether it's for my son, for myself. What exactly happened to change that thought process?
I think the route I took to change my life, because it was not, like I said, it was not an easy thing to do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you're being threatened, when you have when you have nothing,
Mm-hmm.
and you're threatened to be sued or whatever by someone that you entrusted with your life. I just made the choice. Nobody's going to take me down like that.
Oh, no, that's right. So that strong traditional Italian woman came out.
Yeah, fiercely.
Good.
Fiercely, and I will say, being the only girl with all brothers and the youngest, there was a little fighter in me.
Of course.
And I was always athletic, so there was that competition thing. And it was like it had dawned on me all of a sudden. Something clicked. Yes. It clicked, and I said, I'm making my own.
Yes.
Nobody's going to lead me to failure without my permission.
Without your permission, because can't no one do anything unless you allow them to do it.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's a really important statement that people really don't give too much credit to. You know, we're in a society where it's easier for me to blame you for what's going on, as opposed to me saying, no, I allowed them to do that.
Right.
So now let me pull myself up by my bootstraps and get it together. So at the point that you decided, hey, look, okay, this ain't going down, what steps did you take after that to continue on your course?
Well, and remember, this was a little bit before the internet age too. I worked with a gentleman who was going to Miami.
Okay.
He would take classes at the Hamilton branch or the Middletown branch, and so I started inquiring. So I asked him questions. And that's the other thing. I started surrounding myself with people who, some of them weren't the best of the best. Not that they were doing anything wrong, but they were able to niche their own path, positive path.
Yes.
So my friend was one of them. He was doing what he was doing in his own time and his own way, and I was like, I think I could do that. I think I could. And I had always wanted it. In high school, I took college prep classes. My mom was a teacher. My dad was brilliant in his own right. I mean, brilliant. So that zest for learning was always instilled in our household. Yeah. It was very natural. Yeah. And so I thought, that's something I can do. And I knew, at the time I was working for Walmart. Okay. So nothing wrong with that. But I knew that it wasn't going to give me the financial stability I needed with a small child. Right. So I saw that. So my friend doing that. So then, it was in the old days we used phones. Right. So I called and got information, and I thought, how am I going to afford it? So I started with 1 or 2 classes. Okay. Then I learned about financial aid. Okay. And then part of financial aid, I got a job on campus on the Hamilton campus. Wow. Okay. And there was nothing glorious about it. It was working in the mailroom, and you're delivering mail to professors who are like, "Yeah, thank you. Give me my mail now. You can go." Right. Type of thing. So. But all those kind of small steps, it was a job for me. It helped with financial aid, and it gave me the ability to network with professors and people who worked on campus. So I knew who not to take in class. I knew who to take in class. You had the little it was great. It was great. Yeah. But that was a step that I took so I could work on campus. I can take classes, work in between. My work understood my situation between classes and childcare. It just, I think in reflection, I think I set myself up so I could be more successful than I thought I would be able to. Does that make sense?
And it does. And that leads me to a question of, at the point that you decided, I got this, let me figure out my path. A friend of mine is showing me, without knowing he's showing me, that I can choose to do what I want to do and make it work. Right. How did that decision, or if it was something else, share that with us, but how did that decision help you in overcoming that negative record that was constantly playing for years?
Well, I just wanted it. I was hungry for it.
It's a good old fashioned desire.
Yeah, and once I felt, I call it like getting into the rhythm.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because even like I was finding all the restaurants that had playgrounds, or the parks that had good playgrounds, so I could do homework and study, and he could go play.
Yes.
You know, and so then I started by working in the mailroom, working on campus. The financial aid people knew me, and they would say, "Hey, the scholarship's available. If you have to do this. You have to write an essay. Your grades have to be this. You have to do that. You might be eligible." So I was receiving scholarships. I was receiving accolades from different departments, and it had my ex-husband's last name on it. So, one thing about being an immigrant, child of an immigrant, there's a lot of pride in where you come from.
Sure.
And I'm like, he did everything in his power for me not to succeed. His name is not going to be on my work, because one thing that I did have is that if I'm going to do this, and this goes, I'm still this way. This is okay. If I'm going to do it right. Because it's not going to be worth my time and energy and blood, sweat, and tears if it's not going to be right. So, there are always missteps and challenges and the pluses and negatives, the things that you can improve upon, but it's all a process. And I thought, if I'm doing this and I'm not giving my 110%, then I'm wasting my time and everybody else's time.
Right.
So
you changed your name.
Oh, I changed my name. Because when I got, and this is something for ladies who get divorced. In my head, I was thinking, I have a son.
Okay.
Not only did I have a child, but I had a son. So this is going to be his name for the rest of his life.
Correct.
I wanted him to match with me.
Correct.
I didn't want any strife for him.
Correct.
And so at the time of the divorce, I didn't have it changed back, and which I don't know about Ohio, but my divorce was in Michigan. So I had that option. So when I went to change it, I had to legally change it. Legally. So I had to go in front of, I had to do all these things, pay money, do the newspaper, go in front of a magistrate. I'm thinking, this is my name, though. Why do I have to do all this? It's my name.
Right. To get it back.
Right. And so the funny story is, so I go into the magistrate's office, and it was just a desk and a chair, and he's busy. I guess he does 1,000 of them a day or whatever.
Right.
He's writing, and he's like, okay, so tell me why you want to change your name. And I said my ex-husband's name, and I said I want to take back Cavallaro. He goes, oh, I don't blame you.
So he was on your side. I'm hearing a recurring theme in your life of maybe whether you expected it or not, but people supporting you from at home with your parents, with them allowing you to come back into the house and, hey, you do this and we'll help you. From your friends who maybe didn't know he was helping support you by showing you, hey, you can do it your way. Also from the people who you made relationships with by being in the mail department and talking to the professors, letting you know, hey, this scholarship is available. And now the magistrate for you reclaiming your name. So it seems like you kind of had a guardian angel with you.
Oh, definitely.
Every step of the way to give you little nuggets and tidbits.
In fact, my guardian angel spoke to me on Saturday because I was rushing around for work and I was getting agitated, which I do. I'm an Aries. I just, I'm Italian. I'm an Aries. I'm like, I'm take care or. So I get that way, and my guardian angel said, "Let go, let God."
Yes.
And my whole being changed.
Just a wave of peace.
A wave of it was so it gives me chills now, but it was definitely a wave. And I will say this. And I have had a lot of support in different sorts of ways, even if the people are not still in my life. At that time, they were supportive.
Good.
So I do want to mention that not everyone will always be there for you.
Correct. Everyone has a season.
Everyone has a season,
Yes,
and you have to be okay with that, and know that it's not always a bad change of season.
Correct.
And sometimes it's a positive change in season when it happens.
Yes.
So, and then there will be people who will cheer you on to get to your goal, and then once you reach your goal and they're still not at their goal, they might have an issue with it. But you know, because I my parents are no longer here. My oldest brother is no longer here. You know, I have a brother that I don't speak to as a result after my mom had passed. So
that happens.
It does happen, and it's a season,
and it is,
and it's
even
okay.
with blood relatives. There's a season, and I like the part that you just shared, that you have to be okay with that.
You do. You
have to understand and be okay. Like, not everyone's not here for forever. You know, some people are here to teach us things. Some people are here to be with us for the long haul, for the lifetime. And then some people are really put in our lives to put us through some mess, so that we can grow and prepare forward from it. Everything that you shared with us today, if there is one sentence that you could share to encourage our viewers based upon the story that you shared with us today and how you've prepared forward, what one sentence would you sum that all up in?
I think you owe it to yourself to never compromise your happiness.
Yes, and that's powerful.
Yes.
It's very simple, but it's powerful. Also, too, though, it's something you have to grow into.
Yes.
Because as you mentioned, when you were younger, you made points that you didn't have those life skills. But if you have people in your corner, whether they're parents, whether they're school friends, whether they're professors, some people can influence us to get to that point quicker. You know, so I really can appreciate you sharing that with us. Well, I have a customary thing that I do for all my guests for coming and being transparent and for sharing their stories and the steps that they took to heal, which I'm sure benefit people from watching. So what I like to share is, because wristbands are cool now, is this wristband, and you'll see on there it says Healing Conversations with Coach Vee.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's just my token of gratitude for you willing to come on here and share your story to encourage yourself, myself, as well as others. So share that. And this is Coach Vee, Certified Life Coach and Personal Growth Expert with SVM Initiatives, LLC. I want to thank you so much for tuning in to Healing Conversations with Coach Vee, and we'll see you next time.